All right, so next up on our agenda is Luisa Marin. She's from General Biochar Systems, and she's going to be talking about biochar production in Mexico.
Hello, good morning, and thank you very much for being here. I'm going to be looking at my notes because my mind wanders a lot, so I want to focus and be sure that I'm going to share what I want to share with you today. So, for the purpose of this meeting, no, it's the other way. At the Whova app, I posted this question. What is the most present challenge when producing biochar? Oh yeah, this is it. And I had two answers, two choices. Which one do you think got the most votes? Second one, anyone else? The first one? No, a sounding vote, overwhelming vote for number 2. And the thing is that capturing the amount of CO2 released in our world is hard work. And the people who spend their time trying to produce biochar and teach other people about it know that the devil is in the details. Good intentions and climate change education won't be enough. Producing massive amounts of biochar and mainstreaming its use is going to take operational talent and a lot of perseverance. That is my thought. So I'm going to focus on the challenge of producing biochar at scale. Most people who know a lot of biochar do not need to be convinced that it is environmentally sound. But what I'm going to talk about today is what it takes to make biochar economically viable. So if there's no business case that makes biochar commercially sustainable, then this is just a nice idea that will fail in the real world. No, like this. So I've been working mainly with agricultural waste. That is why it resounded to me what you said about the different feedstocks and what about you said the potential of agricultural waste around the world, and Mexico is not the exception. So I know that there are other important feedstocks, but look at these numbers, and especially the last one. That's the most important one, and I do believe one of the most dangerous ones, because agriculture accounts for 90% of all the GHG emissions globally. So there's an amazing opportunity. If we make a dent in that number, we will be making a great impact in climate change. So producing biochar and finding ways to put it back into the earth is an amazing opportunity. Sequestering carbon for over 75 years or more is a real thing. The challenge is to do enough of this to affect the temperature of the planet. I'm always. So, meeting the challenge requires science and engineering, but it also requires a business case and how to make biochar economically viable. So I'm going to show you this real-world example of my country where 2% of the global crop or food industry is produced, and the emissions from this industry accounts approximately for 10% of the country's emissions. So, like this. We can think of biochar as a multi-purpose key. It addresses climate change mitigation, soil health enhancement, GHG emission reduction, water conservation and quality. And the versatility that Marcel made reference of, it's amazing. For me, it's one of the most important things about biochar. All the uses, all the potential raw materials that it can be made of, all the potential technologies that it can transform, and all the potential uses, and all the impacts economically and environmentally speaking that but the biochar has the potential of doing that. So now, think about the kinds of jobs that will be needed to realize the full potential of these benefits: consultancies, manufacturing, research, MRV services, trading, and of course, direct sales of biochar. We're not talking about small or one-time economic opportunities. We're talking about the creation of a long-term on all the employment that it can be generated over time. So, no, I always do it right. In the growing market for carbon credits, biochar is rapidly becoming a compelling hybrid carbon dioxide removal. We've seen the figures, Marcel showed us, and you talked about it in your presentation in the study. Today is one of the most cost-effective ways to reduce carbon from the atmosphere or to remove carbon from the atmosphere. But making that happen will require to overcoming some major obstacles. As I mentioned earlier, I posted the question in the Whova. And I'm going just to address these three, but because I believe they are so fundamental in this process. Lack of funding. Scaling up requires upfront money to buy machinery and vehicles and lease and condition industrial spaces, and operational money to pay salaries, purchase supplies, cover the cost of MRB and validation. It is a lot less than in a DAC project, but still, finance is a major constraint. Lack of market. Making biochar production viable at scales requires companies and people who are willing to incorporate biochar into regular operations. Just imagine what would happen if even a significant fraction of agro residues, or agro producers, remember that 19%, and cement producers, the second most used element on Earth, were to incorporate biochar into their everyday processes. And CDR procurement. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but oh my God, that's a hassle. These processes are hard to comply with, and they're not cheap. Don't get me wrong, I understand that buyers need to see the results of a thorough due diligence processes to have confidence that they are acquiring quality and real, live, and not greenwashing CDRs. But these processes today are only accessible for large-scale producers of biochar. Unfortunately, small-scale producers of biochar cannot, they do not make it through the next rounds of those RFPs. No, man. Okay, and now I would like to talk about the other side of the coin, opportunities. And I will mention only the big five. There are a lot, as we all know as well, and we can discuss the rest of the afternoon and the rest of the conference, overcoming challenges and assessing opportunities. But residual biomass, we all know that there are a lot of residual biomass, garden trimming, urban trimming, and garden waste and urban trimming, obviously wood, but a lot of agri-waste. And why? Because we won't stop eating. Everywhere in the world, food is produced, so waste is there. And it will rot, it will be burned, it will be revalorized. It's up to us, right? How do we approach and find these opportunities? Market development. Through standardization of quality of biochar, which is super important, education and training about biochar applicability, product accessibility, cost reduction by scale, the market can be built. We are biochar producers in Mexico, and one of the hardest things that we have seen is how to inform or transmit the message about how to use biochar in a simple, easy way, because it is so complex. As you said, what is the soil temperature? Why are you planting? What are the conditions of the soil? What is your biochar made of? What is with the quantity? How much money can you spend doing that? How much time do you have? So there are so many variables that impact the applicability and functionality of biochar that, for me, that is one of the biggest challenges, how to educate and create a message for all the people who would like to use biochar in a simple way. And a circular economy reloaded. Decarbonization of supply chains. We have seen that coming for many, many industries and sectors now. Why? Because there are carbon taxes. Now there are boundary taxes. If we know that Europe is now charging a carbon tax, depending on the carbon footprint of that product. So decarbonizations of the value chains is one of the major things coming. And we do believe that approaching the major industries, food industries, that we know that there are a couple of them around the world, that they have their feet in almost every continent, by addressing the decarbonization of the supply chain, saying that they do not own the land, they're not the farmers, but they buy from them. So approaching and say, let's manage their agri-waste, let's help them to incorporate biochar, reduce the inputs, have a positive economic impact in their pockets, and besides you will have a better product, carbon neutral or carbon negative product. You'll have a story to tell, and your stakeholders and shareholders will be super happy about it. And well, decarbonization, waste revalorization and transformation, diverting waste from the landfills, are source of income, and the growth of the upcycling industries, such as biochar, is proof of it. Also, the development of new industries, services, and products to serve the biochar industry. At least in Mexico, and I don't know in other countries of the world, but finding labs to conduct biochar, bio-oil, and syngas characterization under the IBI or EBC standards is a hassle. We have not found one, and we are really looking forward. We have found some of the tests that can be done at some place, some other, but if we want a full characterization, we send our samples to the United States. So it's not an easy task, and I understand that in Africa they send their samples to Europe, to Eurofins, in order to get tested. So that's a major opportunity. Trading, MRV services, pyrolysis technology, consultancies, all the things and all the careers and skill sets that can be developed through this industry. And also innovating carbon banks. Beyond the agricultural frontier, the use of biochar in concrete, asphalt, cement, construction materials, quarry pit, and many other industries can be explored and can be exploited. There are a lot of opportunities over there. And finally, speaking about opportunities, let's not forget one of the most important ways that biochar production can become a viable economic activity. The CDR market is expected to keep on growing, especially now that the governments are including them into their strategy to reach their NDCs. Yesterday, we saw a notice of funding opportunity that the Department of Energy just is going to release an RFA for $100 million for CDRs. So they're going to use 2024 in order to receive the applications, curate them, filter them, and the deployment of cash. And I do believe there's like 10 projects that will get, 10 projects that will get like 10 million each just for biochar. And there are a lot of other CDR activities, but just biochar is a major player there. Why? Because it's the most, it has the readiness level to upscale or scale up. Or scale up. So carbon markets are a great opportunity, and not only because of money. They are needed to reach the 2030 and 2050 GHG reduction commitments. But at this stage, reduction alone is not enough. We're talking about CO2 removal from the atmosphere to create carbon sinks with a permanence of 100 years or more. And I would like to end with one very important message that we have seen in our operation. We are newbies, rookies in the industry. We've been doing biochar for almost 2 years, for about 2 years. So we know nothing, and we have learned the hard way by doing. So what we have seen is that making biochar at scale cannot be done with just one kind of business or one kind of institution. It requires collaboration. It takes a village to set up a biochar initiative and make it work. And here are some of the main actors that need to cooperate and work together to make biochar projects sustainable, economically viable, and socially and environmentally sound. If we don't have the government involvement, either a federal, state, or local level, it's going to be super hard to get all the permitting needed, all the requirements that that needs to be set up in order to get the facility running, or the endorsement in order to get the CDR process or the inventory of emissions. So they're a key player. Even though they don't give money, we need them for moral endorsement or moral support. The private sector, again, financing, lab, all these private services that are needed for the industry, the technology, the researchers, the academia. The industry, about the same thing. We need heavy machinery, we need light machinery. There are so many things needed in a biochar facility. You need the forklifts, you need the super sacks or the super bags, you need the pellets, you need all these things, the quenching of the biochar. It is a super intricate sector and industry that requires of a lot of knowledge and expertise. And academia, nonetheless, we all need this research to start somewhere, and then taking the research into action and put it out there to make it work in the real world. And then civil society organizations. We always need the leverage of the civil society organizations to keep us in focus, that we are not messing around with the communities, but we're not messing around with other people, right? And the communities, they are the ones who live there. They are the ones who are making it happen. So if we contribute to make them participate in the project, to profit from the project, and to benefit in all the ways that they can benefit all, not only because we want to aim or claim about the Sustainable Development Goals, but in the real life. They are the ones who are there, and we are the ones who would like to benefit from their resources. So we should share and take care of them. And human resources. We need to develop those skills, because now what we have seen is that it's not been easy to find people to work at a biochar facility. Once again, because paralyzing biomass is not something that many people is familiar with. When they go into the factory and they see the reactors and they see the flare and they see all the biomass, and some of them get scared, like, oh my God, what is this, right? Some of them get excited, but you need to we need to find the right people who are willing to grow, to see the message and the potential in this biochar industry by revalorizing the waste, by doing this in pro of the atmosphere and the economics and everything. So this is pretty much it about the perspective in Mexico of the biochar production, that this is a huge potential. We have a lot of capacity of doing, and seeing your graph that we are there in the 25,000 tons of potential, we are not in the map when it comes to a larger quantity, but something can be done too. So we're open to incorporate new technologies and new expertises in order to grow the industry in Mexico and all over the place. Thank you very much. Oh, no? Yeah, I can't. Can't I?
We've got a few minutes for questions. Does anyone have a question for Luisa? Hey, Wendy Lou, can you wait for me to get the mic to you so they can hear you on the recording? Thanks.
Luisa, thank you so much. I was curious, given just what a massive agricultural economy there is in Mexico, what do you think the potential is for collaboration with the large international, multinational agri-food companies that are operating there?
I think the potential is big, especially because they're interested in their carbon footprint, where some of the two large players have become interested in learning. They have not shown interested in applying biochar, but in learning the impact of using biochar in their supply chain. We have talked with the sugar industry, with the sugarcane industry. We have talked with Nestlé, and we have talked with Ecom. So imagine all the value chains that could be impacted if they were to use biochar. But yes, their interest. The thing is how to grab them, how to really engage them, how do they get that message to the board, and how do they get approved? Because one person willingness is not enough to move, especially those large corporations. Okay.
Hi, Luisa.
Hi.
Do you know some numbers or quantities about the actual situation in Mexico about the production of biochar or similar? Or is very atomic data and you don't have info about it?
We don't have the info, and that is why we created the Instituto Latinoamericano del Biochar. But I can tell you the following. We are not the only producers of biochar in Mexico. We are the largest because we are at industrial scale. We know of other biochar producers that are working there, and they're producing, I don't know, like 5 tons a week or 1 ton a month. It depends on the availability of biomass and the capacity of the reactors. But our facility aims to produce 60,000 tons of biomass, dried biomass per year, approximately 18,000 tons of biochar.
I just wanted to say one thing. This is all for Luisa, obviously questions for her, but the USBI and IBI have just completed a global market research report, and we're going to be presenting tomorrow some data. Some of it will be regional, some of it will be top level, but and then of course we'll be publishing the report.
Yeah.
Thank you. Hi, Luisa. Thank you for the presentation. Very, very good. My question is more focused on the new integrators to that dynamic, to this biochar manufacturers dynamic. What can be the what do you think are the bottlenecks of the efforts, of the time, that now that you are here and that you already did it, how can you make it, or what advice can you give for them to be able to jump that bottleneck and go to the next step?
Don't give up. No, don't give up. You know, I was going to say, there are 2 of my colleagues here, and they do different things. Sarah is a soil scientist, and she's conducted the on-field experiment and the research and development. Eve is in the business development side, procuring biomass, closing deals with potential customers, and making this happen. And each of the different aspects, you know, I think of biochar like a prism that reflects different things, and each one of those avenues has its own challenges and rewards. But you know, really do not give up, because we're going to find challenges. You're going to find challenges everywhere. Just securing the biomass. I'm going to do it briefly. Last year, we went to a conference, and I asked, which are the main things that investors take into consideration when financing a biochar project? And they say, the team first. Who's going to implement the team? I'm going to give you an amount of money, and I want to know that you have a capable team of doing this. Number 2, securing your biomass. And number 3, end use. With those things in between, go find yourself into the bushes. But those are the key things that in the middle, as you know, you might find challenges and obstacles. But there are so many successful biochar projects around the world that is the proof that can be done.
We still have time for 1 or 2 more questions.
Yeah.
If not, let's thank Luisa one more time.
Thank you.
Biochar.org appreciates the support of our sponsors, exhibitors, presenters, and attendees. We look forward to seeing you at our next conference in September 2025.